We are live. And if you are thinking about moving to Grenada in the West Indies, then you are most definitely in the right place. In today's YouTube Live, we are going to be talking through a variety of elements, all about moving to Grenada, and also updating you on some of the things that have been happening with the Exodus Collective. Because if you are someone who is thinking about moving to the Caribbean, wanting inspiring stories from other people doing similar things, it's been a little while since I've been on screen, and it's been a little while since I've shared any stories other than the wonderful John, who is launching a rather spectacular AI ed tech business in Grenada. But yeah, it's been a hot minute, but we are back and we are talking everything relocation. So it is a pleasure to have you on board. So just a brief update. Last time I spoke to you, I was heading back to England. We've since been back and things have been a little quiet on YouTube, mainly because most of the work that I've been doing is helping people one-on-one. So whether it's people set on moving to Grenada or thinking about other destinations in the Caribbean, and actually quite a few people in Latin America, that has really what's been taking up the bulk of my time. But it is a pleasure to be rejoined by those of you who happen to follow, who happen to tune in. Definitely drop me a line in the comments so I know who's there. Say hi, let me know who's watching. And if you have any questions related to moving to Grenada, whether you are on the CBI, Citizen by Investment front, whether you're looking at citizenship by descent, or if you're just curious as to what options are open for you. Some of these frequently asked questions that I get one-on-one are things that I really want to share with you en masse, so that those of you who are considering a move, wanting to move, really get a grip with what's possible, what's not, so that you can start planning your own exit. But yeah, I really feel like I'm on my own now. So I really would love to know who else is watching. Drop me a note in the comments, say who you are, where you're watching from. Are you thinking about moving to Grenada? Are you thinking about another island? It really, really would be good to know where you're at so I can make sure that I answer your questions directly. But actually, before we get started, I need to ask for some help from you guys, because I've been approached by a TV company in the UK that is looking to make a documentary on the whole UK Blagset trend. Those of you watching from the US might be saying, they're a little bit late on this one because we've been doing it in the US for many years, if not decades. But yeah, it's a major UK broadcaster. The production company who are developing it is people of color owned. So I'm hoping that means that the issue is covered sensitively and with some depth. But what they're looking for are case studies, stories of people who are in the process of moving. So if that's you, if you are thinking about moving, if you want to move, you might not even necessarily have a date as yet. You might not even necessarily be 100% sure on the destination. But if you're up for kind of exploring what that sort of shift might look like, and really the reason why I'm asking people to do this is because I think the reason that I share my story is so that it can inspire others. And I think the more of us that share our stories of journeying, share our stories of imperfection, share our stories of the ups and the downs, that really can make it seem more possible for others who are kind of on the fence or full of doubt as to whether or not it can happen. So anyhow, that's my plea. So if you are a Black Brit thinking of moving to the Caribbean or Africa, please do drop me a line. My email, our best email is Caribbean, and I always spell this wrong, Caribbean Exodus at gmail.com. There we go. Bringing its way to you over the interweb. There you go. In the comments, that's the best email to send it to you. And if it's not you who's thinking of moving to Grenada or the Caribbean or somewhere in Africa, if you know someone else who is, please drop us a line. We've had some really good applications so far, but not that many from Grenada. And as I'm in Grenada, I would love to see Grenada represented on the program. So yeah, no shade to any other island. I know one large island that I think is most definitely going to be featured, but yeah. applications from Grenada strongly encouraged, but all islands gratefully and countries in Africa gratefully accepted. Look, I have company. We've got Vanessa. Hey, Vanessa. Vanessa in Grenada. Vanessa, have I bumped into you? Which Vanessa are you? I always, it's what's been so lovely over the past few months is just how many people I bump into who watch this channel. And it's quite often like, you don't know me, but I know you. And I've moved from here or I'm moving. So that's really lovely. Grenada being such a small place, an island of 100,000 people, it's really small. So community is massive. And that's one of the things I really want to talk to you about in this session when it comes to some of the key elements to consider when moving is community. So Vanessa, if we haven't connected properly in person, I'm sure we will, because there are some really exciting events coming up, and some that have happened already that I'll share with you about as well. But yeah, let's definitely keep in touch, Vanessa. In fact, at the bottom of the description of this video is a link to a new group that I'm starting that's all about meeting up in Grenada. So whether it's events, experiences, going exploring, etc., that is something that some of us, yeah, it's good to be able to check in with other people and good to explore the island and not just to stay in the same old places and to make it really feel like you've got community. So whether you're in Grenada now and wanting to broaden your network or coming to Grenada and wanting to check in and see who else is on the island, definitely click on that link. It would be really awesome to see you, especially those of you who kind of like I see on or who see me on YouTube and I don't see you in person. That would be really awesome. So Vanessa, that's a shout out to you. Candice, hey Candice. Candice, tell me where you are in the world. Are you in the States? Are you in where are you? I'd love to know. Winnie, hey Winnie. Winnie is one of the people that I have spoken to one-on-one, and I can't wait to have her in Grenada. If you want to let me know what your timeline is looking at, like that would be awesome. But yeah, Winnie too is someone who is really interested in community. So for sure, the one-on-one events or the in-person events that we'll be having as the months go on, it'll be lovely to see you and your daughter there, Winnie. So really look forward to welcoming you. We've got oh gosh, I can't even pronounce it. 3-blade ceiling fan. Okay. Bad in Grenada about the answering phones at government locations. Yeah, that's quite possibly true. But you know what? I often recommend people to call rather than email. But there we go. We will park that issue later on, or if there's a specific question or a specific question suggestion regarding to phones and moving to Grenada through blade ceiling fan, definitely let me know. We've got Deanne. Oh yeah. So when we've had a couple of events on BBC Beach. We had one on Independence Day where I shared some photos. That was a really lovely line. We had lots of folks who were moving to the island able to attend. We had a lovely oil down, so like really traditional Grenadian food, and that was really fun. And then not last weekend, the weekend before, I was actually filming with a TV company, and that is another TV company, this one from Canada, who is also making a documentary about the move, people returning to their homes, people shifting, leaving the so-called developed world to return to the Caribbean. So yeah, a group of us, I got a group together, and we were filming down on BBC Beach. Drinks were provided by the wonderful Ron Beard Rums, a Grenadian brand owned by a couple who moved back, one from I think Canada and the other one from the UK. But yeah, that was a nice event. So Deanne, I don't know which event you missed, but either one of them was awesome, and I hope that you can make it to the next one. Thinking about maybe doing something up in St. Patrick's, maybe around Easter time. So if that's of interest, again, click the link below, sign up to that mailing list, and we can let everyone know when stuff is happening. Because yeah, YouTube is nice, but face-to-face is a lot better. Oh wow, the population is okay. There's a more accurate figure, 126,000, and we still haven't bumped into each other. Vanessa, our time will come. Do not worry. Do not worry. Someone from the US. Okay. Trying to move to Grenada. My wife is Haitian and I'm from Barcelona, Spain. Nice. Nice. Do you have a timeline for your move, Victor? I would love to know more. And if you have any specific questions, please do let me know. Here we go. We have a specific question. How economical is real estate in Grenada? That is a very good question. I would say, and we'll cover this in more detail as I try and go through things systematically. But if you're looking to move to a destination where you are spending a lot less money than you are in, say, the UK or the US or Canada, um, Grenada probably isn't the destination to go to if you are looking to make a saving. I speak to people who are looking at Belize. I speak to people who are looking at Panama, Ecuador, Mexico. There are a multiplicity of places where the cost of living is so much less than it is in Grenada. Even when I see real estate in Jamaica, it's generally much more economically priced. So if you're looking to get a bargain, or if you're looking to allow your US dollar or GB pound to stretch as far as possible, Grenada, yeah, even if you look outside of St. George's, I would say that it probably wouldn't be the island of choice if getting a lot for your money in terms of property is a priority for you. Some people may disagree with me, but that's my honest perspective. And again, Grenada is so small. I don't want you to come over here with totally the wrong idea and book a flight and then find out that it's absolutely unaffordable. Maybe what I'll do actually, I'll put a couple of real estate agents' details in the comments so you can check them out for yourself. So rather than having to believe me, you can check for yourself. So the first one I would suggest is Century. Oh, I can't spell. Century 21. I'll put it on it now. Century 21 Grenada. 21 Grenada. And if you just Google that, that will give you a whole load of listings, whether it's rentals, property to buy, land, etc. For some reason, my computer is taking a million years to load. It's telling me that there's a problem with my internet connection, but I hope that you can still hear me. But yeah, Century 21 is definitely one of the agencies to check. Another is Altman, Altman, Grenada. That will also give you a wide range of properties to check out. But yeah, I think often making sure that you do your research beforehand will give you a really honest take as to whether a destination is going to work for you. And there we go. We've got a second opinion from Vanessa. Property is expensive. Like, she's more direct. It's expensive. It is expensive, I think. I mean, it's not as expensive as New York City or Monaco or Barbados or even Antigua. I've had people who are property searching in Antigua and have chosen Grenada as a slightly more affordable option. But in terms of the more typical destinations that people, especially folks in the US, often choose to move to in order to save money, Grenada, yeah, that wouldn't not be one of the reasons to move here. I would say. So there we go. Let's take that off. I hope that answers your question, Southern Creole flavor. Were you looking to buy here or to rent? That would be interesting to know, because you can sometimes find reasonable rental properties, but not necessarily in the touristy area. So it really depends on how flexible you're willing to be. But to go back to the point, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this live, not just because it's been a very long time since I've spoken to all of you, and it's really good to kind of keep that relationship going, and for me to give thanks to you guys for still following, really is I've just been quite overwhelmed at the number of people who are looking to move to Grenada who've never been here. So maybe they've seen something on YouTube, or it seems really interesting on Instagram, and people are actually booking flights to come, which is like so exciting, but also like that feels like a lot of responsibility as well when folks are like, okay, so Grenada's number one on my list. I want to move. What can you tell me? What's it like? And yeah, I think I've had experiences in the past of having my mind set on a particular destination and getting there and realizing, this isn't exactly it. And sometimes you're just not going to know. You're not going to know until you get there. There's not really anything that can prepare you for it. But I had that experience back in 2003, because I'm pretty old. Back in 2003, when I went to Rome, Italy. I'd studied Italian probably for a good 7 years prior to that at university. And I was convinced I was going to move to Rome. I was going to be a foreign correspondent for either the Guardian or the Financial Times, and that was going to be my life there on in. And I got to Rome, and I was like, the vibe just isn't it. Despite everything that I'd been told about it, it wasn't the place for me. But the difference between then and now is it's 20 years ago. I'm really old. in 2003, YouTube hadn't been invented, Facebook hadn't been invented, Instagram hadn't been invented, Zoom hadn't been invented. So all of these tools that we now have at our fingertips to really be able to navigate a space virtually, to make connections, to build community, to access information. None of that was there then, but it is there now. And I think there are really useful ways that you can check out a destination and really do a lot of groundwork even before you get there. And it's one of the things I've noticed there are quite a few groups where people share information. But sometimes, unless you have the right framework, you can go off in a direction of research that won't necessarily get you the results that you need. And I think that combination of really idealizing a destination and it not working out, plus being in a destination and seeing the lived reality of it and realizing that actually even being here, there's stuff that you have to grapple with, there's stuff that you have to factor in that you might not have known before, but knowing it now, maybe you wish you could have. All of that information basically is stuff that I want to share with you guys, so that for those of you who are thinking about moving to Grenada, you know how to do your research or hit the ground running when you get here. And I think that applies in some way as much to those of us who might be Grenadian by descent as it might someone who's thinking of citizenship by investment and actually living in the destination, or someone who is thinking of staying here for a longer time, applying for permanent residency or starting a business. Like, there are a whole number of different angles from which having a clear understanding of your plan for setting up in a destination really can be made crystal clear prior to moving. And then you hit the ground running in a way where you're just much more efficient in the way that you're adjusting and adapting to challenges. So that is definitely something that I want to share with you. I have a list of 12 items. Are we going to get through it in half an hour? Probably, if I don't ramble. But before I dive in, let me check in and see if I can answer some of your questions. And thank you very much, because otherwise I would just be talking to myself, which would not be fun for you or for me. Three blade ceiling fan asks, Zoe, do you think you will stay in Grenada? That's a question I get asked very often. Someone asked me, are you going back? And I said, where? Go back where? Yes, I think I'm staying in Grenada. I have Grenadian citizenship. I have dual citizenship, so that makes it quite easy for me to stay here. It hasn't been necessarily the easiest or smoothest of rides, but I enjoy Grenada. There's a lot of potential for me in Grenada, and options of other places to live at the moment for myself and my 3 kids aren't particularly, there isn't a long list. I think there might be places that in 10, 20 years time I might like to try out. But for now, it's a pretty exciting destination. With the 2 documentaries that are coming out, that's going to keep me busy. There are also a number of other ventures that are in the works here. So yeah, I am invested in Grenada, and Grenadians are beginning to invest in me. So to leave now definitely wouldn't be the right thing to do. So yeah, how about you, 3 blade ceiling fan? That's not the easiest name to get off the tongue. Are you thinking about staying in Grenada? Let me know. Another question about Jamaica's. No, I haven't. Do you know what? I should have been to Jamaica. I haven't been to Jamaica. I would love to visit Jamaica, and I'm sure I will. The vibe in Jamaica seems awesome. I mean, it's a massive island, right? So I guess you can find a bit of what you want, whether you want the high-end stuff, the rootsy stuff, whatever. But Jamaica is on my list, but I have not been there yet. But I think I will love it when I go. Someone has a question about Grenadian citizenship. How does one go about the process of Grenadian citizenship? Is dual citizenship something that is optional? Yes. There we go. Selena answers the question. Yes, you can have dual citizenship like me. I need to know the cost of passport. Okay. So I have dual citizenship. I have British citizenship. I was born in the UK, hence I have British citizenship. And both of my parents were born in Grenada. So I applied for citizenship by descent in July 2015. The other options for Grenadian citizenship are citizenship via, so you have the citizenship by birth, citizenship by descent, which you are eligible for if either of your parents were born in Grenada. If you were not, so my children were born in the UK. I was born in the UK, so I am not able to pass on my Grenadian citizenship to them. The only option for my children to get Grenadian citizenship at the moment is citizenship by naturalization. I'll say that again, citizenship by naturalization. And that means after 2 years of residing in Grenada, my children, my British children, will be able to apply for permanent residence after 2 years in Grenada. After an additional 3 years of them holding their permanent residence, so 5 years in total, they will then be able to apply for citizenship by naturalization. So that's the option for citizenship by naturalization. 2 years to get permanent residence, another 3 years to get citizenship by naturalization. The other option is citizenship by marriage. Citizenship by marriage is only possible if you are married to someone who was born in Grenada. If you are married to someone whose parents were born in Grenada, you quite often will not automatically gain citizenship via marriage. There may be a process whereby your Grenadian by descent spouse will have to apply for citizenship to then allow you to gain your citizenship. It gets quite convoluted, but if you want the ins and outs of that, perhaps that's something that we can have like a one-on-one chat about, or it's definitely something that we will be discussing in the group program that I'm launching for those of you who are really serious about moving to the islands and need one-on-one help, not just from me, but a team of 10 really awesome experts. It's really lovely to finally be able to talk about the Exodus Collective as a collective of people who are all sharing about a vast array of expertise, from anything from finance to sustainable business to health to finding housing, etc. So yeah, details of that are in the description. So if that applies to you, if you want one-on-one advice, but also to be part of a group so that you have a cohort of people who you are already in touch with who are also moving to Grenada, that's the place where we can go really deep on these sort of citizenship questions. So I hope that what I was saying answered your question, Candice. But yeah, citizenship can be gained, but quite often what people might want is permanent residence. It depends what you're looking for, whether you want to buy property, whether you want to work here. There are a whole range of options that will affect whether you want to apply for a visa, a tourist visa, which you then extend, whether you want to apply for permanent residency, or whether you want to apply for citizenship. The other option in terms of citizenship is citizenship by investment. The lowest priced offer is if you make a donation to the National Development Fund, and that is for a fee of $150,000 US. If you are looking to invest in property, the prices there start from $200,000 US. And there are a range of developments across the island that are CBI approved residential funds. Residential developments. So that's also quite a popular option for high net worth folks, or for people who want citizenship in less than 5 years. Typically, the applications for CBI take between, I would say, 6 to 12 months. So not something that you'll get at the click of a finger, but definitely a lot faster than the 5 years of getting it via naturalization. But again, there are various reasons why people might go down the CBI route. So really the route to setting up your move, that's something that I'm going to say again and again and again, is that your move to Grenada or any other place has to work for you. right? Your motivations for moving, what you're looking to get out of this move aren't going to look like anyone else's. So you kind of need to ignore anything that I say about what I've done or what anyone else says about what they've done. You just need to get really clear. Okay, what's my master plan? What is it that I'm looking to achieve? And how do I weave in all of these? I just knocked over my microphone. How do you weave in all of those elements? So there we go. That was a deep dive on the citizenship. But Candice, I hope that helps. You did. Thank you. Awesome. Creole Flavor was thinking about purchasing a condo. Nice. Have you been to Grenada? And tell me, where were you thinking about purchasing a condo? Purchasing a condo is not a bad idea. In term, one thing that is really underexplored, I've noticed, just because of the work that I do, just having so many inquiries from people wanting to move to Grenada, is there isn't much in terms of on the rental market for folks who are digital nomads or folks who want to stay longer than seven days. The market is flooded with student accommodation because there is a medical university on the island, St. George's Medical University, that mainly trains American medical and veterinary students. So quite often in certain areas, you'll find that pricing is spectacularly overpriced because they're not really paying the fees, the rent, their parents are. And when mummy and daddy are paying, just they can, yeah, it can be as high as you want. But sometimes the quality isn't as good as a normal adult might want. And finding property that is like well designed in a good location, nice fixtures and fittings, but isn't necessarily a holiday rental, somewhere that has a desk, somewhere that isn't totally open plan. If you can find some of those, and market them on Airbnb for long-term rental, I think you would make a killing, or at least I would be able to. I will be able to send you lots of traffic because there are, dozens of people getting in touch, really struggling in terms of affordable places to stay that seem like good value for money. So Southern Creole Flavor, if you want some tips on places to look, drop me a line because that rental condo, I mean, if you're thinking about renting out, there's me just assuming, but if that's something that you're thinking about, definitely that could be worth exploring. And who else we got? We've got Iris. Hey Iris, how are you doing? Iris, I feel like we've spoken. Have we spoken? It's so hard not seeing people's faces, so I never know. But Iris, that is a very familiar name. If we've had like a half hour clarity call and I'm like failing to remember, apologies, but I remember your name. Thank you for saying hi. Jenny, hey Jenny, how are you? Jenny, where are you calling from? Or where are you watching from? Let me know. And Iris, let me know where you're watching from too. There we go. Yeah. And now we're up to 26. Thank you for watching. And those of you watching, please just like drop a hi, drop what it is that you want to get out of this live, because it's nice passing the time. But if this can be useful for you, definitely let me know. Definitely, because moving to Grenada is something that I really want to help people with, like it's nice having the YouTube channel, but it's not really just for chats. It's more about like, how do we make it happen? And if it's not Grenada, where is it going to be? Or if you choose to stay where you are, accept that and be happy with it. But yeah, I want you to get something out from this. Iris is in Philadelphia. Iris, have we spoken? I feel that we have spoken. We've definitely spoken, haven't we? You might need to drop me an email and let me know how things are going with you. But yeah, it's really nice. This is also what's nice. Like I meet people one-on-one, or I bump into people in real life who I've met, but then also with these one-on-one consultations to kind of bump into people again virtually is really exciting. So let me just take a quick sip of water because I'm about to like lose my voice. It's not actually water, it's lemongrass tea that I picked from my house up in St. Patrick's. There we go. This is me. We've spoken twice. Well, I'm glad that I remembered you, and I really hope everything is going well and things are ticking along for you. Okay, so let's get back to some of the things that I really want to talk you through. In fact, probably whiz through in terms of mapping out your move. And maybe you want to take notes because I think it's useful. If you at the end of it, you're like, nah, that doesn't make any sense, or no crap, Sherlock. Let me know. But I think having sat and reflected on my move and the dozens of conversations that I've had with people who are also moving, this is what my strategy is, and that I would like to help a group of you with working through if you are thinking about moving to Grenada. Um, so the first step that I think is essential is setting goals and creating a plan. Creating a plan, I mean, yes, that's really obvious. Who moves without a plan? I guess I kind of semi moved without a plan. Moved with a tentative plan, but everyone kind of, you plan to move by a certain date, and that's one of the things that helps you to make progress, right? But setting goals, how many of you are thinking of moving and have goals? If you do, let me know. Are you planning to relocate, to move to another country? And if you are, what are your goals? Or even, do you have goals? Do let me know in the comments, because my hunch is that you may not. In terms of the clients that I work with, understanding the goals and knowing what their goals are, that's something quite often we have to do a lot of digging with. And I think using your goals to really direct what you then put in place, it's kind of like the foundation for your move. Quite often, for many of us, whether we're in the UK or Canada or the US, the desire to move can be a lot about, like, it's just horrendous. Like, it's too expensive, the cost of living is too high, work-life balance isn't right, the weather is terrible, we hate our boss, some of us are facing racism and microaggressions. Like, there can be a lot of push as a reason to move, but understanding what you actually want to achieve by moving. Like, what are your goals? What are the specific things that you want to achieve in a specific destination? Getting really clear on that, I think, is or I would say foolproof, is a foolproof method for making sure that your move abroad is sustainable, whether it's Grenada, whether it's Russia, whether it's Martinique, I don't really care where it is. Knowing your goals and taking the time to get clear on that. And it's your goals, right? Not anyone else's goals, not what it's going to look like on Instagram or whatever, what your parents are going to say or your friends are going to say. Is what works for you. What meaning, what shifts, what change are you looking to achieve? And then how do you then allow everything else to flow on top of that? I think that is a really, really fundamental point that is often missed. And it's not, no judgment. There's things that I've missed. In fact, there's part of the reason that you haven't seen me for a long time is that I've had to go completely back to school on my goals, because sometimes goals change, right? But without them, you're kind of going to be like drifting along and maybe moving to a place and thinking, oh, it's going to do this to me, when that isn't ultimately what you're looking for. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can reiterate this anymore, but Selena has answered. And one of the elements that she's looking for is work and play, being around friendly people. I'm in London. Yeah. I came from London, and yeah, that balance, somewhere where it's less like go go go, whether it's just like, a crazy commute standing on the underground trains with like someone's face in your face, all of that nonsense, like it's not really necessary. And if your goal is to be somewhere where life is genuinely more balanced, where people genuinely have a respect and take pride in relaxing and having community and, yeah, making sure that their life is tranquil, then that's a really important goal for you. And you will know that that is one of the guiding lights, one of your northern stars that you need to make sure you have on your plan for moving. And that's going to look different for everyone else. It's really, really going to vary. But I would say starting with that really is the fundamental thing when it comes to designing your bespoke exit strategy, I would say. The second factor, oh, here we go. We've got some we've got some comments. Champagne. I would love some champagne right now, but we're not doing that. We can't find champagne in Grenada. It might be rum after today's session. But thank you, Kicking Rocks. Never considered Grenada until now, planning slowly. Mish. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to know that you're thinking of Grenada. Why are you thinking of Grenada? And what is it that you're looking to get from moving? I think that's the most important thing. What is it that you're looking to achieve by moving? If you wouldn't mind sharing that, Mish, I'd really love to know, because that's always the first question that I ask when I'm working with folks one-on-one is what is it that you're trying to achieve? Because sometimes putting the destination first can be putting the cart before the horse. So, Mish, we can like live deconstruct this here. But I would love to know your thoughts. Eating fresh produce from my own garden. Yeah. Do you know, just like me? Yeah, lemongrass. Picking stuff from my lemongrass bush is about as far as it gets. Now I've got mangoes. I've been eating mangoes. What else? Golden apple, but that's all stuff that I didn't plant. It's stuff that my grandfather planted. The actual like short crops, as they say, they're still actually in their seed packets. But that was one of my goals. This was one of my goals, to eat what I grow, and I haven't done it. And look, can you see the effect of me not eating what I grow and eating like stuff that I buy in the shop? Is not working for me. So I have had to go back to basics on my goals. I've had to redesign. But at least you guys won't do that. You have your goals and you will plot your path in the direction of your goals. So thank you for sharing that, Selena. It's really, really important. Second step that I think is really important, if we're doing it sequentially, is to choose the right location. So you know where you know what you want. Where do you want to go? For those of you more generally, it's okay. Like I want somewhere where I can afford a condo and pay less than I'll be paying in New York. Or I want somewhere where there's a great work-life balance. Or I want somewhere where I can grow my own food. Based on that criteria, this is where it's going to work for me. So one of the things that, an example I give, I was doing a call with someone. He had a number of destinations on her list, one of which was Grenada. And I was saying, like, in terms of like your essential elements, like things that make life better for you, what is it? What do you need? What brings you joy? And for her, it was having the option to go to like a multiplex cinema, to have a choice of coffee shops, to go ice skating if she wanted to, and to be able to go shopping at the mall. And I gave her, like, we talked through some places on her list that would work. And at the end of it, she said, well, why didn't you suggest Grenada? Like, you're in Grenada. Why didn't you suggest Grenada? And I was like, well, Grenada doesn't have what you want. Like, and if you're really honest that like having options, having entertainment, having like lots to choose from is important to you, then Grenada's going to drive you crazy, because it's a different kind of vibe. It's something else, and you shouldn't have to, if as adults, right? And I'm imagining all of us are adults. We're no longer doing things because we should do, we're doing things because we want to do. So why not be completely unapologetic in choosing what it is that you want? And if you want somewhere where you've got like access to designer shopping stores and whatever, like do that, because that's what brings you happiness. If you want peace and quiet and a beach and chilled out people and not too much consumerism, then be unapologetic about doing that. But to go back to the point, choosing the location that will deliver what you want really, really is important. For those of you looking to move to Grenada, to break that down even further, Grenada is not a huge island, but there are definitely differences from area to area. So, for example, I came down from St. Patrick's this morning from Citez, and I woke up this morning, sat on my balcony, looked out into like a whole lot of trees, watched mongoose running, hummingbirds suckling at plants, and the smell of lang lang in the evening the night before. And that's the St. Patrick's vibe, right? It's country, it's green, it's slow. If you want somewhere to eat on a Sunday, good luck. There might be like, I mean, there'll be supermarkets open, but no real, yeah, there's a very limited choice of places to get food that hasn't been cooked by someone you know. But that's St. Patrick's, right? If you want somewhere where it's mainly expats, where the roads are smooth, where you aren't going to get people walking past blasting their music or like tooting their horn, then there are places that you can go to if you want that expat vibe. If you want to kind of rub shoulders of people of a certain class, there are particular destinations that you go to. If you want somewhere where it's a mix of local Grenadians and people who've moved from overseas, there are other elements too. So all of those things, whether it's a particular vibe that you're looking for, whether you know that you're a gym bunny and you want to be close to the gym so that you can get there easily every day, or you have a child, right? And you don't want to spend an hour and a half driving to school every day. All of those elements stemming from the first one, your goals and creating the plan, that allows you to really hone in on the location. So whether it is a particular country that you're looking at or a particular area that you're looking at, doing your research as to which locations are going to work best for you, is something that, yeah, it just helps narrow down your search. And that's what all of us want to be doing, or all of you want to be doing, is really narrowing down your search so that you're honing in on the specifics of what's going to work for you. And with the sessions that I have coming up, I have a really fabulous woman who's going to be leading that week's session, which is all about understanding the best locations in Grenada. She's a lady who moved back to Grenada probably more than a decade ago, and she's also a real estate agent. So in terms of understanding the trends, really kind of being able to dig deep into what the different areas have to offer, she is going to be a great person for you to tap into her expertise. And again, that collective thing, there's stuff that I know, but there's a limit to my knowledge. And that's why I'm bringing others who can really kind of get you up to speed and help you hit the ground running when it comes to your move. There we go. We got from Iris: to relocate and take it easy, breathe, and allow my inner spirit to guide, identify what needs to exist, and working towards what resonates the most. Isn't that beautiful? I wish I could give you like a clap emoji, but yeah, that is definitely a lot of what I'm trying to redirect myself to get away from like that London, like go, 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 achieve, do, and more just like listen and tune in. But it takes some practice. It takes a lot of practice to undo what has kind of driven you for the past 40 years. So hats off to you, Iris, for making that a priority, and for constructing your plan in a way that allows that kind of fluidity, that ease of movement that allows you to, yeah, follow the path, follow your inner path to what's needed. There we go. Planning to move, but only goal is to afford long-term affordability. Don't want to be worse position in a foreign country. Yeah, that's definitely a reality. That definitely is something to factor in. And I guess now, thanks to the internet, there are a number of ways in which many of us are able to earn an income in US dollars or British pounds or Canadian dollars and live in a country where the cost of living is a lot lower. I'm not able to do that in Grenada because I genuinely don't think the cost of living here is lower. Vanessa, let me know what you think, but I genuinely do not. I mean, some things are cheaper, but genuinely, I don't think there's a cost saving in moving to Grenada. For me, but I'm unique, right? Most of you aren't a single parent with 3 kids. Most of you are not having to have one salary and split it 4 ways. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. Probably anywhere in the world that I'm going to move to is going to be costly just because of my particular unique setup. But Vanessa, I would love to know your perspective on Grenada. Do you find Grenada affordable? I guess, and it also depends on how you live, right? You can like cut your cloth to suit your suit or whatever my grandma says. Awesome. What have we got here? Enough of the grind. Oh yeah, nice. Retirement at 58. Congrats to you. And I love that. I think there's definitely a point in your life where you've kind of done the parenting, you've ticked the box, they're now off on your own journey, and you get to do what works for you and to be really unapologetic about that. So hats off to you, Mish. I love that. I love that a lot. What else do you say? Family is from Jamaica, but that isn't going to work. But Grenada sounds like a possible. Yeah, do you know what? There's actually quite a few folks from Jamaica who are coming to Grenada. And I think there are elements. I mean, again, as a confession, I haven't been to Jamaica, but I kind of do a lot of conversing with folks who are there. I think there are elements of Jamaica that can be found in Grenada. But there's definitely a different vibe, which has its pros and cons, right? I think one of the things that I'm really inspired by with many of the Jamaicans that I know, it's just that kind of like sense of business, like go, 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 not go, 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 but people are prepared to hustle. They're very innovative. They're very entrepreneurial. Like people make stuff happen, whether it's like selling roast breadfruit on the side of the street or, it's just that kind of urge towards commerce. I think there's some really exciting things happening in Jamaica that, yeah, Grenada might seem a lot slower and slowly paced compared to what you're used to in Jamaica, but it's also quite lovely as well. But I do think you have to be ready for Grenada. I do think that. So yeah, there we go. How soon might you move, Mish? Or how soon do you want to move? And what information do you need in order to feel secure about moving? Because you sound like you're in a really good position to up sticks and leave, or at least try something else out. Let me know. Um, okay, yeah, there's stuff. Yeah, everyone has their motivations to move. So after finding the right location is finding housing. In Grenada, there are a number of options. Whether it's a lot of people build their own property. Um, I think you have to be of a certain disposition to do that, because the timescales that you're used to in the UK or the US or Canada may not necessarily apply here. Um, One of the things that's often recommended is to have like a really spectacular um, manager, someone to oversee the whole build, to have watertight contracts. Yeah, there's a lot. I take my hat off to people who come to Grenada, have never lived here, and choose to build houses. There are some stunning properties on the island, and there are some also spectacular architects. Irina Koska, a young Grenadian architect, recently won an international award in London, and her work is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, if you're coming to Grenada for ease and tranquility and relaxation, to start off by building a house is that's you gotta be a strong person to take that on, and I am not, so I would never do that. But I think a lot of people do, and a lot of people want to explore that, especially people kind of at a later phase in their life who kind of want that kind of forever home, for them, their family, their grandchildren, etc. So that's one of the things that we will be talking about is construction, for those of you who are looking to build. But typically there are a lot of houses available on the market. Property doesn't typically sell very quickly, so there's quite a lot to look at in terms of pricing. Again, if you're looking to snap up a bargain, St. George's or the kind of expat areas such as Lansepine, Fort Judy, Egmont, Westerhall Point, True Blue, those are the expat areas. Those are the areas where the prices are the steepest. But the further out you go, the more room there is to play with the prices. And there are also some areas in St. George's where prices can be a lot lower. So I mean, St. George's the parish, not St. George's the capital. Places like Grandmile, Happy Hill, quite often you will find property for sale, but also for rent. There is a lot more affordable than you'll find in areas like True Blue, for example, I would say. Any questions about property, let me know. Foreigners are able to buy property. That's often a question that is asked. But if you are not, if you don't hold citizenship, what you will be asked to apply for is an alien landholder's license. So there's a process for applying for that. There's also a fee associated with your purchase if you are a non-national. There can be exceptions made for OECS nationals, which is the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. I always have to close my eyes to remember that acronym. But folks from St. Vincent, St. Kitts and Nevis, those islands in the OECS, there are trade agreements and a number of other agreements, including options for property and work that then affect means that you don't have to pay the alien landholder's license. So if you have citizenship by descent from one of those countries and you are thinking of moving to Grenada or any other OECS state, that is something to be aware of because, there are some substantial savings to be made from not having to pay that tax, I would say. One of the other things that I think is really important to be aware of is how to navigate cultural differences in Grenada. And that's point number 4. And again, I'll have someone, actually a Grenadian, because I think that is something that a foreigner, an expat, whatever you want to call us, we can't really explain that. I think it has to be someone who is here, who experiences expats / foreigners and can see the kind of issues that we have to then break down how we navigate that. But cultural differences in Grenada are significant. And I think quite often, because there's no language difference, we assume that things are going to work the same here as they did where we came from. And I think that one issue can be like the biggest block, the biggest hurdle that sends people back home. I oversaw an incident in which and someone from the UK had an encounter with someone from Grenada, and the person told him, I'll take out the expletive, but like, you're not in England anymore. You're not in England anymore. Um, and I think it can be quite an issue for us to realize that we can't come to another country or another island or another region with the same mindset that we had before. You are in a new place. It does have different rules of engagement, and really understanding that that is a reality that you can't just impose your expectations of how things worked where you came from on a new place. That's really important. But difficult, right? Because we come from places where people have been colonizers, and we have adapted the mentality of a colonizer, whether or not we choose to accept it. But acknowledging that and understanding how to bridge that gap really, really, really makes a difference. And I guess the effort that you'll save in learning a new language, you will then put into really understanding how to navigate those differences. Yeah. Any questions on that? Any questions on cultural differences or any observations? Those of you who are in Grenada, I would love to know. But yeah, that's one that probably isn't on people's list because of the sessions that I do with folks one-on-one are often very short. We don't get to come to the cultural differences part, but yeah, all the conversations that I have with my people who are here or on other Caribbean islands, that's a big one. It's a huge one. And the sooner you can get your head around it, the better, because I think that is the thing that sends people home. That and the next thing, which is establishing a support network. So when you have these encounters, right? When you just don't get it, or when you're just like at the end of your tether, unable to understand why it's just so hard, having people around you who can hold space for you, who can walk you through, who can show you how to navigate, that really is the thing that will keep you sane and will yeah, just help you know how to work through things. And someone told me, a few people have told me actually, like quite often they feel that I'm too negative, that I'm not like positive enough about moving. And I answer the question, am I planning to leave? Most definitely not. But I'm also not gonna like paint it in pink for you. There are aspects of moving that are very, very challenging. There are aspects of moving that will reveal stuff to you about yourself that you didn't know. And I think rather than pretending that that isn't the case, let's be honest, say that it's likely to happen, and start really discussing how we work with that when it happens. I don't think there's any benefit in brushing it under the carpet. And any of those of you who have moved, if anyone is kind of just thinking about this for the first time, I would love to get your thoughts. But if I'm being too like doom and gloom about it, but I'm really trying to be solutions focused. Like, this is likely to happen. How do we work through it? And a support network is a really, really important thing. You may not believe it, or maybe you will. I'm very much an introvert, right? I don't love always being around people and networking and la 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 la. But there's times where I've just had to force myself out there. There's times where you end up going for drinks that you wouldn't necessarily go for, or you end up organizing play dates that you wouldn't necessarily do, just because you need to expand your network. You can't be on your own. There's times where, whether it's through sickness or whatever, that you will need people to rely on. And I think it's really important for you to start thinking, okay, how will I go about building my network? What's nice about the group that I'm organizing is that, in a way, you have your own cohort, you have your own people from the beginning. From our virtual calls, you're all getting a sense of who's who and communicating and starting to form networks. And it's something that I've seen already with the group that I started last year. It's like people have met up in Canada, they've been in Grenada at the same time and hung out together, and things like that are really important. But it's also really important to make sure that your network is not just expats. I think it's really important to be able to understand how to build relationships with local people, because there's definitely times, especially on an island, definitely times where the only way around a particular situation is going to be having that kind of local insight, that local connection, that local assistance that's going to be the thing that's going to enable you to work through. So yeah, building a network is important. The next thing on the list, and I again took a lot more time than we thought, didn't it? Is financial planning. So the financial logistics of making your move abroad, and this is an issue, a factor more perhaps, that most people put first. But I haven't put it first because sometimes that can be such a block that we don't allow all the other elements to filter through. Um, and I kind of, again, that thing of like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this because you're an adult, you're doing this because you want to, you're doing it because it means something to you, rather than being limited by the finances of it, to be really broad and expansive and then say, okay, how does this fit with where I am financially? How does this fit with there's no the implications that it's going to have in terms of taxation and implications in terms of what it's going to mean for estate planning, etc. I mean, whatever it is, those are things that I think that it's really important to make sure that they align to the wider goals rather than the finances defining everything. Now, that is me. I'm a particular, very unique person. That might not work for everyone. So again, if that doesn't feel like it fits for you, chuck it out. Do what works for you. But what we are doing in that session is reaching out to a friend of mine who I've actually interviewed. She is the most popular interviewee on the Exodus Collective. Her background is in fintech. She runs her own company and does a lot of consulting for financial institutions in Europe. And she will be running that session because the last thing that I would want to do is to give you financial advice. I'm not that person. I know my limitations. And again, with that collective support, I'm bringing in someone who can really kind of talk you through all the elements that you want to be thinking about when you are creating your move abroad from a financial point of view. We won't be covering taxation because that is something that you definitely need to speak to your accountant or lawyer about. But with regards to the wider, more general approach as to what to consider when making your move and what to put in place when you are overseas, that will be like a spectacular session. So it's a real gem if you get to tune into that one. Seventh is starting a business. So as you all know, and some of you repeat it back to me, is that I'm very much not about coming to the Caribbean, kicking back and sipping on a margarita, right? I like a margarita, but I do a lot more than just chilling. Even though the Caribbean has this reputation as a destination where you just relax, the reality is that there is a lot of opportunity here, but also a lot of need for people to contribute to build the futures that people here deserve to have. And someone did ask me, why don't you talk much about finding jobs in Grenada? And I said, quite honestly, with unemployment being quite high on the island, I don't think it's justifiable for me to kind of encourage foreigners to compete for jobs that Grenadians can have. The legislation in Grenada also makes it necessary that if an employer in Grenada wants to employ someone from overseas, they have to justify that there is no Grenadian qualified for that role. Therefore, it can be given to a foreigner. And that might sound protectionist, but I think if you think about immigration rules in the country that you are in, it's no easier for foreigners to just rock up and take jobs. So yeah, the Caribbean generally is no different in making sure that the governments do what they can to allow local people to get jobs. But where there is an opportunity is establishing businesses. And that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I think business definitely can have a positive social impact. And that's one of the sort of avenues that I'm going down, is helping more and more people move to Grenada, set up businesses. In setting up a business here, you are able to apply for permanent residence. You can apply for a work visa. It does involve applying for an alien landholder's license in a different sort of segment to applying for one for property. But that definitely is one of the most exciting streams for those who aren't of retirement age, who are looking to move to an island where they can still generate an income and contribute to society. Starting a business in Grenada is something that, yeah, that's going to kind of blossom into its own thing. What we're discussing in this group that's starting next month is kind of just kind of dipping your toe into it. But the person that I have to run that session really is an expert. He's a chartered accountant. He has really good working knowledge of investment and business facilitation on the island. So for those of you who are kind of really keen to go down the business route, that session will kind of give you everything that you know, everything that you need to know when it comes to setting up a business here. And also doing it in a group, you never know who you might meet. The number of people that I've come across in my consultation calls who are looking to start up health and wellness businesses on the island, I'm like, guys, there has to be scope for you to collaborate. Maybe one of you is a retailer, another one of you is providing products, someone else is a consultant. Like, the kind of network that you start building and the opportunities that you can start creating even before you get here are so exciting. And that's why I'm keeping the group small. It's only going to be 16 people, so no one's going to get lost. There definitely will be scope to kind of really kind of start networking effectively. So definitely, if business is something that's on your radar, Grenada 100% is a place to check out, and the sessions that we'll be running will be of use to you for sure. I guarantee that. Let me go back to some comments. That's why I'm more pro going, as there are more expats to commune with. Okay. Selena, remind me. I'm really bad at following the chat. Selena, remind me where are you going? Where are you going to? I could just try and scroll back, but I forget where you're going to. Yeah, I know that you're looking to leave London, but where are you looking to head to? I'd love to know. Yeah, I think expats and locals, I don't even like the term locals, or like nationals, I would say. Sometimes, I mean, there's different lived experiences, right? So that does have it expresses itself in different ways. I think when I moved, I was very like, I don't want to hang around with expats. I'm going to like really immerse myself in Grenadian culture. But sometimes it is nice to have people who understand where you're coming from, who get you, who kind of, yeah, can be a shoulder to cry on. But at the same time, only doing expats, like if I just wanted to be around expats or like foreigners, I could have stayed where I was. Like, I think to me, it's a balance, a mixture of the two. But each to their own, but that kind of embracing the local lifestyle is one of the elements on this program that I am running in conjunction with 10 other awesome people. But I think it's important. I think it's important, at least to kind of know how to navigate it, because you are moving for a reason, right? I don't think many of us just want to move just for the sun. Like, the culture here is really exciting. It might be different, but knowing how to kind of embrace it, which parts we want to take, which parts are going to require a little bit more effort. Yeah, Grenada has a lot to explore, and understanding how to navigate that is really, really essential. Another element is maintaining health and wellness. That is week number 8. So again, probably the most frequently asked question after how can I live in Grenada? How do I get residency? How do I get a visa? Or how do I get citizenship? Is what is the healthcare like in Grenada? And I always have to be incredibly honest and say, I'm from the UK, right? So in the UK, we have the NHS. So it's not really that complicated how to access the health service as a kind of local national person. So when I get Americans saying like, hey, so what's the healthcare system like in Grenada? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's not true. But for this session, for this program, I have actually decided, you know what? We need a doctor. We need a doctor who is not from Grenada, who has moved to the island, who's been living here for 20 years, who studied at SGU, who teaches at SGU, who runs his own private practice, and also works at the private medical hospital here, to be able to answer your questions directly on not just health, not just health and healthcare, but what does it look like to live well in Grenada? How can you establish wellness in Grenada? Because, I mean, it's not it's not quite correct for me to say that I don't know what healthcare is like. I experienced healthcare at a local level when I was here in 2015 and pregnant with my second daughter. Most of my midwife appointments were at the medical centers here. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The treatment that I received from the midwife far surpassed what I received in London. Instead of being seen for like 5 or 10 minutes and shoved out the door, there was a genuine interest in my well-being, a genuine interest in the well-being of my child. I wasn't pushed medication when my iron was low. I was told which leafy vegetables to eat. It was just very different. It was, you are, yeah, you are appreciated here, or affirmed here rather than tolerated. And in healthcare, as a person of color, as a Black person, yeah, that is very different from what many of us experience in the UK, in the US. So that simple thing is quite significant at times. What else? I've been bitten by a dog here. Also received treatment, which was fine. I got burnt. I've had quite a lot of instances with medical care in Grenada. But it's not perfect, and it's not necessarily simple for folks from overseas to navigate. There are private healthcare provisions so that you can have with the local hospital and with the local private hospital. There is scope for you to take out medical insurance in case of emergencies, that you can be airlifted to other islands. But to give you the full picture, a totally complete picture, talking to a doctor who could answer your questions directly and give you the best advice rather than my anecdotal advice is one of the things that will be offered in this program. And I think he's so interesting. He's got such an interesting backstory that I am going to try and tempt him to come on and do an interview anyway, because he is from West Africa. And yeah, he's really, really interesting. And I think his story, he's definitely part of the Exodus. So yeah, beyond the ins and outs of healthcare, I think he's just a really interesting person to know. So yeah, that will come. We have 3 more elements to go through, but I'm just going to quickly go back to what we were saying. Honesty. I answered things you didn't think of. Okay, sorry, I've got a child appearing on camera. This is a reality of life as a mum of 3. But yes, thank you. I'm being honest. I will try not to be distracted by my children, and I will try and focus on your questions. Questions on concessions for returning nationals, returning with one's car and personal effects. That is a very good question, Gregory Sandy. I might get you to answer that question because I think you know more than me on that one, don't you, Mr. Sandy? Would you like to share in the comments? Returning nationals. Yes, there's actually a form that you can access. Maybe I'll find a way to actually put it in the description. But for Grenadian nationals who are returning to the island, there are a number of concessions that are available. For those who are bringing in cars, I think for cars that are under 4 years old, concessions are available. It's quite annoying. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That sounds like I don't care about the environment. But Grenada has very strict regulations as to the age of cars that you're allowed to import. And specifically, if you want to obtain concessions, newer cars are what you are going to have to invest. For household effects, you're also allowed to bring those back and receive concessions as well. But I wouldn't want to kind of give you the figures without having them in front of me directly. But Gregory Sandy, I think I know who you are, but I will put that link in the description for those returning nationals who want to take advantage of that offer. But the one thing that I would definitely recommend is getting a broker to handle your move. I've just had too many instances of people who thought, okay, let's make a saving, let's kind of do it ourselves, and then end up getting, no, stop it now. Sorry. Then end up getting hit with bills on items that they weren't expecting that can be quite sizable. So to just remove the uncertainty and to have someone who can navigate everything with regards to importing your items to the Caribbean, to Grenada, that's definitely something that I would recommend. Do I know of a popular holistic healer called Patrick Delves? Yes, I do. I've never met him. I've seen him quite a few times in the supermarket, and I can confess that what he buys is, he's not buying chocolate and a whole lot of naughty stuff. He does buy healthy food, but I've never spoken to him in person. But yeah, he's well known on the island. Um, and a donation, my first ever donation. Thank you, Three Blade Ceiling fan. I appreciate that. Um, I'll put that in the kitty. Yes, I appreciate your kindness. It's really nice to know that you're finding what I say valuable, despite what's going on in the background. Sorry, not even. No, you're gonna have to move, babes. You're gonna have to move. Sorry about this. This is the reality of my life. What else do we have? A new hospital being built. Yes, yes. And that is one of the really exciting things. Again, with the number of people moving here to start health and wellness businesses, when it comes to setting up a business in Grenada, it's not like some countries where you just need to pay X amount and therefore you're allowed to set up a business. The way in which it's handled in Grenada is that priority is given to sectors that have been prioritized by the government. So the number one priority in Grenada at the moment, as outlined in the budget in December 2022, is health and wellness. As Selena says, a new hospital is being built. The sort of well-being of the general citizens is a significant issue, especially in the prevalence of non-communicable diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes. The knock-on effect of that is then in terms of like the food that people are eating, the provision that's available for them, in terms of primary healthcare. There's an obvious need for there to be more, especially with spectacular university like SGU on the island. The opportunity for Grenadians to really benefit from that is very significant. So the government, it's kind of been a no-brainer for all Grenadians. They've wondered why it hasn't been the case. But yeah, it's a priority now. And those of you who are looking to be in that space, yeah, now's a really good time to apply to see where you can contribute. Other areas that are also priorities include the blue economy, the creative economy. Off the top of my head, I totally can't remember, and I'm totally being distracted by this person here. But yes, in terms of setting up a business, it is. I think it feels exciting to be part of an island where it's not just about money, it's about creating a better future for everyone, right? You're coming to the island, you will benefit from better healthcare in the same way the Grenadians will benefit from better healthcare. So it's not just about like cash, it's about what impact can be created. So that's my little campaign there. 75% is allowed for concessions. Is that concessions on cars? I believe it is concessions on cars, Layla. Do you want to clarify that? But again, I'll put the link so that you can see directly what is available. Oh, St. David's or St. Patrick's. Is that cheap places to live, affordable places to live? I forget what question you're answering, Selena. I totally lose track, especially when my daughter is half naked in the background. Okay, so I think I've answered your questions. And again, Three Blade Ceiling fan, thank you so much for the donation. That's so sweet of you. So we talked about, let me go through setting goals, choosing the right location, finding housing, navigating cultural differences, establishing a support network, financial planning, starting a business, maintaining health and wellness, embracing the local lifestyle. It's something that I kind of mentioned before, but that is also week 9. Speaking to someone who moved back to Grenada about 10 years ago, who really just immersed herself in the local community in a way that I'm exceptionally envious of. And I just want her to kind of share her tips with you and to be able to answer your questions so that if you're on that journey, that you don't just feel like you're isolated, feel like you don't know how to navigate that gap between what you're comfortable with or what you're used to versus what your actual lived reality is going to be like in Grenada. Another aspect, which is week number 10, is living sustainably. So one of the things that I think it draws people to Grenada, or not just that I think, that I'm seeing in terms of the consultations that I do, is that, right, if you're coming from a big city and you love city life, you're probably not going to come to Grenada. If you like, things that are very developed and flashy, and you're going to stay where you are. I think people are moving to Grenada because there really is an opportunity to create a lifestyle shift, to simplify, to ground, to live in a way that's much more authentic. And a lot of that has to do with living sustainably. So whether it's growing your food or making benefit of solar energy. One of the things that I love, because even though I'm in Grenada, I still love hot showers. I love the fact that I'm not paying for my hot water. My hot water is heated by the sun. Um, Certain areas of the island, there is a ton of wind. There's opportunity to harness wind energy. So there's just so much that is open to us in terms of embracing a more sustainable lifestyle so that it feels more meaningful to us, but also that we tread more lightly on the land upon which we live. And I, in that week's session, will be checking in with Newbie, who is someone who I've interviewed before. If you kind of want to have a deep dive into what living sustainably looks like for her, definitely check out her interview that I did. When was it? I think around this time last year. She moved back to Grenada from Canada, set up a community farm. She grows a ton of food, but also teas that are spectacular in terms of wellness. But Newbie is someone who I love in terms of my wellness. Spending time on her farm, just volunteering, is something that makes a real difference to me. And she just has so much wisdom that could be of benefit to you, if you're looking to move and to live more sustainably. And she just answer your questions. But yeah, just watching her video is enough to kind of just inspire you to just do things differently. And I think Grenada, yeah, there's a real opportunity for that we should try to embrace. So that's one of the things that whether you end up hanging out in this group or not, one of the things for you to think about is how do you embrace a more sustainable approach to life? How do you cut down on consumption? How do you, just do things differently? I think that is something that you'll definitely benefit from when it comes to making that move again. So yeah, thank you very much. Last 2 points is creating a positive impact. Oh, there we go. Is creating a positive impact. It kind of ties back into the making sure that you are, not just taking from the land, not just taking from the environment, but also giving something back. And whether it is volunteering, whether it is contributing to some of the environmental initiatives that take place on the island, how do you make sure that, Grenada is a better place for you having been here? How do you make sure that all of you are contributing something, so that there is an exchange going on? I think that is, anywhere where you're going to, I think that is a really exciting opportunity to fulfill. And the chance to speak to people who have come to the island and have managed to achieve that, not necessarily easily, but have set that intention, and taken the steps towards achieving that, I think is something that I really want you to be able to explore, and to get advice on, or even just, if you're not part of this thing that happens, just to kind of think about it for yourself, because there's a lot of scope for better here. I mean, a lot of people who are kind of really hungry for change, who have brilliant ideas, and sometimes it's just being able to connect them to your network. It's not necessarily about being some sort of missionary who comes to save people. It can often be a lot more humble than that. So that is something to consider, and something that we will be considering as a group together. There we go. And just a thank you from Gregory to Layla. Yes. And Layla says, you're welcome. Thank you. See, we're crowdsourcing, but I do promise to put that link in after this broadcast has ended. I will put the link to the all the concessions available for returning nationals, I would say. Is it a viable move for senior citizens? How are the elderly cared for? That is a really good question. There are a number of private entities that offer home helps, but compared to other destinations, I would say that the sort of provision isn't as prevalent as it is in destinations, say like Mexico or Panama, or places where there's like a very uh, widespread um, care for the elderly programs, or businesses set up to do that. I do think, I mean, this is just my perspective. I could be wrong, but it does feel that older people are respected. They're not sort of hidden away. You see people out walking, swimming together. One of the things when you go to, if you ever go for a walk on Grenada Beach early in the morning, you'll just be overwhelmed by the number of people in their 60s and 70s who make it a daily ritual to go to the beach and swim together. Some of them are married, some of them are divorcees, some of them are widowed, but they kind of have their groups where they just go and make sure that they're living well, that community is really, really key. So I think that the isolation that older people face in other countries is something that won't be experienced in Grenada. I think I can say that with my hand on my heart, feeling like that's not misleading you. But in terms of perhaps healthcare options, if senior citizens have underlying healthcare provisions, if senior citizens need support from care providers, that might be something to really do your research on, to make sure that if you are going to approach a company for that provision, that it's someone that you can genuinely trust, whether it's for yourself or you have a relative coming in to kind of like, yeah, just kind of dig deeply on that. Because the last thing that you want to do, excuse me, the last thing you want to do is come here and not experience the level of care that you need. As you can see, it's all falling apart here. No one's really listening to me. I mean, you guys are listening to me, my children aren't, but I'm going to have to answer the last one, which is dealing with challenges and setbacks. Again, I am honest in saying that, yeah, there will be challenges and setbacks. It will not look like it does on an Instagram feed. There are things that are going to go wrong. There are things that are going to go unexpectedly. The list of things that we will have worked through, or that you will have worked through before, will help you in some ways to de-risk your move, but still in some ways, whether it's developing the right mindset, whether it's developing the right strategies, whether it's, yeah, just identifying potential resources or people that you need to be able to lean on in Grenada to navigate particular issues, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a psychiatrist, whether it's a priest, whether it's a babalao, I don't know. But kind of knowing what your strategy is for when things don't go according to plan is really, really important. You might not think of doing that now, but when it happens, to know that perhaps you have your black book, or you know what your strategy is, or you know that you have a certain tendency towards X, and actually you started flexing that muscle so that when X happens, you're not as flawed by it thousands of miles away from home, is something that, yeah, I would love you to consider. It's something that we will definitely discuss together, because for sure I've had innumerable challenges and setbacks, and I'm someone who is who talks to other people about how to navigate all of this. So rather than telling you that it doesn't happen, I think we should talk about what we do when it happens, I would say. Okay, I have made it to the end of my list. I appreciate the comment. Thank you, Angie. I won't read that out because it's just going to encourage the person here, which we don't want to do. Nadine, what's been the biggest challenge I've faced? Gosh, there's been so many. There've been a lot. There've been a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think coming here in 2021 in the middle of COVID, escaping the UK, only to come to Grenada, everything locks down. I'm working remotely, homeschooling 3 children under the age of 10 on like one laptop and like one half working tablet. That was a massive challenge. Work has been different. I moved out here on a contract, doing one sort of consulting that dried up. I've had to find others, and at the same time, kind of navigating a changing reality in Grenada. A relationship that I was in ended. Like, yeah, multiple. Name a challenge, I probably faced it, but I'm still here. I'm still here in part because I made a commitment to be here, in part because I have a really awesome team of people around, well, not team, friends, people that I can just call and say, like, it feels like it's falling apart. And yeah, again, like on an island, community is everything. There's not much that you can use to distract you from yourself. So you're faced with yourself, and what do you do when that happens? Yeah, challenges is this, I'm a single parent trying to work, and I have people lying on the floor. I mean, that's a challenge that I'll face anywhere in the world. But yeah, I can't say that it's easy. I can't say that it's simple. But if you want to do it, you do it and you make it work. And I think by going through the list that I've suggested, that's a way to really get clear as to what you might need to put in place. I think you can do it on your own. I think doing it in community can really be a great way to, just get the support that you need, answer questions that you might not have thought of. I've definitely learned from the consultations that I do with people. There's questions that they ask, there's little ideas that they have. I'm like, oh, that's such a brilliant way of thinking about it. Iris, who is a client, said, and I'm scrolling up. There we go. Things like this. To relocate, to take it easy, breathe, allow my inner spirit to guide, identifying what needs to exist and working towards what resonate most. Gems like this come forward. And I think by building community as you go, by learning together, by supporting each other, and also tapping into a group of really spectacular local experts, for sure is a way to make, just to make your move more realistic and to take the fear out of moving. Grenada is an awesome place. But support to make it happen is really easy. And you can give that to yourself by kind of really thinking and reflecting and being honest with yourself as to what you need. So there we go. Even if I fly there, I can't get this. Oh, thank you very much. You don't need to show gratitude. If it's of interest, drop me a line. The course is coming up. That starts in April. I'm trying not to do one-on-one calls just because I think the learning that you get in one session is amplified by more people being there. But if you do need a one-on-one session with me, you can book that over on my website. But yeah, more than anything, take action. If you want to move, start mapping out your strategy. Start answering those questions for yourself and see how you can make it reality, because you can. You really can. Like if I can do a live stream with two nutters in the background, you can make a relocation happen. I mean, it's not that simple, but yeah, it can happen. Thank you for the gratitude. I am sweating a lot from the stress of this all. Gregory, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. I thought you were the someone who works at the High Commission in Grenada. Are you not someone who works at the High Commission in Grenada? If not, are you related to him? There can't be too many Sandys on the island. But yeah, I will drop the link to the concessions below. Thank you. I'm glad that you found it useful. And yes, mini trips to the island for sure. For sure. One of the things I'm thinking about doing is like a group trip, so that people who are all exploring can kind of share space, bounce off each other in person. But anyhow, these people have just another donation. That's so kind of you. Thank you very much. No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Thank you very much, UK Business. I really appreciate you. I think I know who you are, and we need to chat, but I really appreciate the donation. That's so incredibly kind of you. Okay, you are welcomed. You are welcome. And yeah, flights are insane, absolutely insane. Come earlier. Come before Spice Mass. There's more to Grenada than Carnival. Come check it out. Or maybe come via another island. That might also be something to get. Okay, it's all about to fall apart. Thank you very much. If you want any information from me directly, send me. No, it's not even funny. If you want any information directly, send me an email. If you want to join the course, details are below. If you want to kind of talk to me about it beforehand, because it might be a significant investment for you. But yeah, I'm excited as to what it will bring for you. I'm excited about what you will be able to create on the island. So let's talk. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate your patience and for your questions. So I didn't have to talk to myself for that entire time that we've been on. Thank you so much. And I will be back soon. Much love to you all. And for those of you, yes, for those of you thinking about moving, those of you who are in the UK thinking about moving, if you are interested in taking part in the documentary that I am developing, that a production company is developing, but I'm helping them find people to profile. It's for a major UK broadcaster. Please do drop me a line. I put my details in the chat, but it is Caribbean Exodus at gmail.com. Drop me a line because I would love to hear from you, and especially to see Grenada represented. Okay, I'm going to go off and deal with these people, and I will be back soon. Much love. Stop it. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.